What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Your boy the Dread Man is back, and I'm here to give you guys my fan movie review of F9 The Fast Saga, aka Fast and Furious 9. Now, I made a video early last year about my predictions of this movie and what was going to happen in it, and the backstory about Jacob Toretto and the Fast family and all this other stuff, and where Hobbs and Shaw fit into this. And you find out. There are some questions that are answered, but there's still some questions that are to be answered, especially within the next movie or two, depending on where they go. Also, spoiler warning. This movie has been out for a week in America and for a month in other countries, but yes, whatever. Spoiler alert. Now, before I really get into it, I want to say something, because I feel like most people are overly critical about the Fast and Furious franchise, myself included. But see, the thing is, like, I love it because it's a guilty pleasure. It's over the top. It's become ridiculous. But guess what? I love it. I'm all here for it because these are popcorn flicks. You don't go for the brilliant thespian acting, and you don't go for the plot. I mean, even though the plot kind of does drive the movie, the plot is pretty much driving the movie. But still, you go for the fast cars, you go for the action, the shootout explosions, you go for the cartoon zaniness. I mean, this is a movie where you pretty much got to turn your brain off to really enjoy it. I mean, am I expecting an A+ movie when I go see a Fast and Furious movie? No. Hell, I'm probably expecting a B+ movie at best. But I saw ratings for this movie all across the board, and this movie had a year's worth of hype behind it. I expected at least an 8 out of 10, but IMDb gave it a 6.5, and I believe Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 7, which I guess is fair. But like I said, with the movie having a year's worth of hype behind it, I was expecting a little bit more. But then again, it's a Fast and Furious movie. What more can you expect? Now, as I was saying, these movies have gone from basically a movie about a street racer, from this movie goes from a crew that's based off of street racing just so they can hustle to make some extra side money, to a cop drama. That's where Brian O'Connor comes in. Rest in peace, Paul Walker. It goes from a street racing cop drama to pretty much Mission Impossible type of films. But like I said, it's ridiculous, but I'm all for it because it works. Because think about it. You would be tired of the same movie over and over if they didn't do anything different. Because that's where the building of a cinematic universe comes in. You have to build it. You have to construct it in a way that makes sense. Even though there's a couple of plot holes, but hey, what cinematic universe doesn't have plot holes? Anywho. Now, this movie picks up directly where the Fate of the Furious, aka Fast and Furious 8, left off. And if you guys are wondering where Hobbs and Shaw fits into this timeline, it's pretty damn clear that this movie takes place after Hobbs and Shaw. Well, actually, it takes place after Fate of the Furious, but before F9. But I'll get into I'll get into the post-credit scene later. But yes, this movie picks up directly after that, where Dominic and their son Dominic and his son Brian, along with Letty, are living a peaceful, quiet farm life, when Mr. Nobody, Kurt Russell's character, ends up sending a distress signal. And that's when the Fast Furious crew has their new mission. And it's to find out that this rogue agent, and this rogue agent, ironically, is Jacob Toretto, aka Dom's brother, played by John Cena. So they have to find out what his motive is, and this motive is, you guessed it, another device. What is it with devices? At first it was DVD players, then it was Ramsey with God's Eye, and then it's become like all these other heist films. It's become it's become something where they have to use fast cars to get a certain item. I mean, the thing is, it works. I'm not complaining too much about it. But yes, and we find out the backstory of Jacob. He was originally close to Dom, but he had something to do with Dom's father's death. The thing is, it's not his fault, but he did have something to do with it. It was a car crash back in the late 80s, early 90s, because Dom's father was a semi-pro race car driver. And it turns out the Toretto family was in debt. And that debt was called in because he ended up having to throw the race. And instead of throwing the race, well, he threw the race, but in a very vague way. The engine of his car was sabotaged by Jacob, but it was only meant to start out the engine and make the car stop. It wasn't meant to blow it up. But yes, so we see young Jacob and young Dominic pretty much in shock and awe, but Jacob is the only one who knows the truth behind it. And Dominic, basically, he holds he holds Jacob responsible for his father's death, which he was. But still, that's pretty much the backstory of the Toretto family. And also, the biggest kicker is the return of Han. And Han died in the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, which is one of the the lesser liked movies of the series. Once again, I'll get to that in another video. But yes, Han's turn is something to behold, because it turns out that Mr. Nobody pulled a Houdini and made made Han stage and fake his death. And to a lot of people that didn't make sense, but some people were like, justice for Han. Why is one of the Shaw brothers responsible for his death, that he didn't get justice? But once again, I'll get to that. And also the plot line, because everybody knows that Tyrese's character Roman Pierce is the comic relief, and it's ironic because at one point in the movie he's the comic relief, but he ends up making the most sense, because he says, and I quote, "Over the last decade, have you noticed what we survived? We have survived every manner of vehicle, from street racing cars to tanks, trains, fighter jets, submarines, all manner of villains, from street thugs and gangs, drug lords, international and domestic terrorists, and super soldiers." But Hobbs and Shaw was more of a super soldier thing. But still, they went up against all manner of villains. And you guessed it, they actually do go to space. Because everybody's like, well, the Fast family might as well just go to space after this. I mean, because they've done everything else. They've been on land, sea, and air. And the thing is, people say the Fast and Furious movies are ridiculous because they had to do something to top every single movie. Every movie gets more and more zany and ridiculous to what they have to accomplish. And I'm going to go ahead and say it now. They've done land, they've done sea, they've done air, they've done space. The only thing left for them to do now is time travel. They need to be on some Marty McFly, Back to the Future type of ish for them, for them to top that. That's the only way that they could top going into space in this movie. But yes, they have survived a whole slew of things. But anyway, as far as the ending of the movie, with the Fast family coming together like they always do, nowadays, like, the Fast family coming together is pretty much like the Avengers, pretty much. But yes, the movie ends with one of the side villains turning on Jacob with Cypher, and Cypher's kind of a background villain in this movie too. But as you know, she'll be back because. But you know what? I want to know who the big bad of this universe is. You know how the Marvel Cinematic Universe had the Thanos? I wonder who's the Thanos of the Fast and Furious universe. But I guess in the next couple of movies, we're gonna find out. But yes, the movie ends with Jacob being on the run like he had for the last 2 decades. And he's probably going to assist the Fast family in some kind of capacity. But I guess it's going to all culminate, because I guess we're going to get Hobbs and Shaw back into the picture. We're going to get Jacob, and then we're going to get the original Fast and Family crew. Also, post-credit scene. Not Hobbs. Oh, yeah. Deckard Shaw is pretty much just beating the daylights out of someone in a punching bag. And then he gets a knock on his door, and then he's shocked to find out that Han is still alive, who he thought he killed. But yeah, that's pretty much the Fast and Furious 9 in a nutshell. I enjoyed this movie for what it was, no matter how ridiculous a lot of people say it was. Is it perfect? No. Does it have some plot holes? Absolutely. Does it make sense? Not all the time. But are you not entertained? Absolutely. So, me personally, I will give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. I believe Fate of the Furious was better. But yeah, I would give this movie a 7 out of 10. Solid, average, slightly above average rating. But for those of you who saw it, what would you rate this movie? Oh yeah, one more thing. I believe that they should call the Fast and Furious 10. I believe that it's going to be stylized Fast and FU10US instead of Fast and, like, in the Furious part, take out the I and the O and substitute it with the number 10. That's pretty much what they should do it as. Anyway, you guys comment, let me know what you think of this movie. Rate, comment, subscribe. This has been the Dreadman, and I'll be back soon with another video. Peace out.